Now we will move on to the next session where we will see how the corporate and bars are geared to offer the security and cyber security as their solution offerings. I would like to invite Mr. B. Rajaraman, Manager Technical from Raksha Technologies for his presentation. Mr. Rajaraman has rich experience of more than 12 plus years in information security management with skills in a diverse range of security technologies. Knowledge of major strategic security solutions like SIEM, perimeter security, DLP, encryption, web security, email security, cloud security, IDAM, UPM and endpoint security in addition to network monitoring software. Proficient in designing security solutions to different verticals. Strong communication skills with exceptional problem-solving abilities in information security wing.
Welcome Mr. Rajaraman for the Fireside Chat. Can you give us a short intro of Raksha business?
Hi, thanks for the opportunity here. Today we are here to discuss about the cybersecurity landscape that exists today, and we are trying to discuss on what are the steps that we can preventively take in terms of securing our organization from the security breaches that are coming up these days, right? Raksha is a 20 years old company. We started in the year 2000. Right from the day one, we had the vision that cybersecurity is going to be the key area where everybody have to focus, building up a resilient business infrastructure, right? So today we are 100 plus employees serving 1500 plus customers across pan India, and we have a direct operational presence in Chennai, which is our headquarters, and we have a direct operations in Bangalore, Hyderabad and Coimbatore. So we are an ISO certified company helping our customers to make informed information security and availability decisions to meet their business goals. Our services includes assessment, planning, design, implement, manage cybersecurity solutions to protect customers, infrastructure and information. We also provide product trainings to our customers and ensure that the automation options are being used so that the IT help desk burden is being reduced. So we are partnered with major OEMs and IBM is one of our key partners where we have built expertise to protect the organizations. And we have been awarded by many of the OEMs for our delivery capabilities. With IBM, we have been partnered for more than 6 years, and we are the platinum business partners handling security business of security products of IBM like Qradar, Resilient, Mars 360 and I2. So our customers are from various business sectors like manufacturing, pharma, hospitalities, BFSI, and we have a consistent renewal business.
Since you are a part of cybersecurity expert, would like to ask you the current cyber landscape and how do you see 2021?
2020, this is a year where we have seen a pandemic, right? Global pandemic, which we have never seen till date from the evolution of IT. Work from home was new to many of the organizations. Many of the organizations has embraced this, and though it is a common term used in the IT landscape, there are a lot of challenges that comes along with this work from home scenario. Even the IT organizations are actually struggling to implement the entire compliance requirements because they also haven't factored it for the scale of what we are seeing it today, right? So now what has become an important thing is like this has to be brought into the system as an regular operational model, and we will have to think through the every possibilities that or every possibilities of a breach that could happen into the organization, and we will have to make ourselves protected in many other ways. Like on the other hand, like we are seeing a lot of breaches that are happening to major companies and critical companies. Like one classic example could be the pharma breaches that we are seeing around the globe. That's creating an impact that though we have a lot of security deployments across the IT firm being deployed and the infrastructure is being protected, there are a lot of gaps that every organization has to fill yet, right? And there are a lot of vulnerabilities that are being seen with the known softwares which are used by organizations to run their day-to-day operations, and these softwares are commonly used across the industries for more than many years continuously. So This is the high time that the organization has to keep an eye on the cybersecurity as a high priority, and they have to adapt to the new normal, and they have to protect themselves from the sophisticated attacks.
What do you think the organizations has to do for cybersecurity space in 2021?
Organization has invested a lot in the ID security tools over a period of time, and these products are in place for quite a lot of period. But still, there are a lot of enhancement that also comes along with this version upgrades and product update that happens. But still, the hackers could find a way to get into the organization, gain access to the assets, and then they were able to exfiltrate data out of the organization, right? So the organizations has to make sure that their existing systems are tuned in such a way like they are used to the fullest extent, and also organization has to look for the newer solutions that are coming up these days, there are technologies which are being toply discussed in the current market is all about zero trust access. There is an EDR which is being discussed predominantly across all the organizations. People are talking about cloud migration with work from home being in place, like they are trying to extend their data centers from the on-prem to the cloud infrastructure, so that the availability and the accessibility will be pretty much easy. And there are a lot of discussions that are going ahead with the RBI making identity and access management mandatory for financial institutions in India, and CASB coming into play for the data which is being moved to the cloud, so that the right data is given access, is being accessed by the right people. So there are a lot of newer technologies are also coming up, which the organization has to think about when they try to prepare the environment for the future needs, right? And the spend should be predominantly focused on increasing the threat detection capabilities. How do they handle the vulnerability management with one from home scenario being in place? Let's say on how do I automate the security operations overall. These are the major areas where every organization has to think through and protect themselves, or develop a system into the ecosystem.
Wonderful input. What are the offerings you have to protect your customers from the threats?
As a part of our services, the first thing that we try to do for every customer, for each and every customer, is to keep them informed on the trends and threats that happens around the world. We tell them what is the method that the hackers use with the latest methods that they use to get into the organization, right? So first thing that we have to tell them that this is the ways that are being currently used, so that they can fine tune their existing environment, and we make sure that the existing security devices are protecting the threats whatever we find or whatever we say, right? So let's say we can share our threat intel information whatever we have in terms of IP, domain names or hashes. So once we share it, we help them in making all this being used with the tools which are already available with them. So let's say they can block the IPs and the domains on their proxies and firewalls, and we are making sure that they are protected from the known threats, or we are protecting them from the known IOCs that they are getting, right? So that's the first thing that we are trying to do. And from the threat management point of view, we are predominantly trying to inform customers or tell customers that they wanted a tool that will look at the overall security landscape. It should know the information that are security incidents that are happening across the entire IT firm. It should be able to collect those informations. It should be able to look into those information. It should make them into a readable format, or it should put it into a right format where an user can look at it and say that this is something that we have to act upon, right? He can do a further analysis on this. He can look for a similar kind of events on some other devices. This is what the tool that we are trying to propose to most of our customers. Qradar is one of the product, widely used SIM product which actually does this job, right? Qradar can collect security events from more than 1,000 plus devices. It can put all the logs into one single common platform, so that it will be easily readable, and analysts can really perform an analytics option on top of it, and it also stores those data for the compliance reasons without tampering. IBM Qradar is powered by the IBM Expose team. The IBM Expose team is a group of security researchers who look at the security incidents happening across the globe. They collect all the security incidents that are happening across the globe, and they create an elaborated data which includes the IP addresses from where the attacks are being happening, or the domains which are used as a part of the attack, the file hashes which are used as a part of the attack. All these informations are aggregated, and all these are fed into the Qradar system, which is used as a threat intelligence. And these threat intelligence sets are being mapped to the existing rule sets. There are a lot of out-of-box rule sets which are part of the IBM Qradar, where these threat intelligence are referred to, and with which we can identify a security breach before it could really happen, or before it could really lead to a complete data breach inside the environment. Probably we can identify some attacks which are let's say known attacks which are happening inside the environment, but probably it might not have went into the complete cycle of the breach, right? So we can identify these attacks with the help of threat intel before it could create an impact inside the organization. This is one of the best part of Qradar, the threat intel and the out-of-box rules which combines together. And the second thing is the app infrastructure, which is part of the Qradar, is going to powering up the Qradar to do many things, right? IBM is building a lot of apps, and community is also contributing to the app infrastructure, where there are a lot of things built specifically for specific purposes, which can typically increase the identification capabilities of the incident, right? So one of such app is user behavior analytics. So the user behavior analytics looks the attacks from an user point of view. It collects all the information about the user activities, and it creates the baseline of the user, and then it looks for anomalies from the baseline. Probably it can create a risk score based on the actual incident behaviors that the user is performing. Just for an example, Rajaraman used to log in every day at business hours 9 to 6, and I see Rajaraman logging in out at odd times from a different geo, which could potentially be linked to password compromise, and probably somebody else who can be logging in as Rajaraman from a different geo also. So the UBA app brings the entire incident perspective from a user point of view, so which will help us identifying what is happening with the help of the user in place. Probably Rajaraman can also be a privileged user who can have access to an critical infrastructure service, and probably there could be some data exfiltration that also can happen. So all this can be simplified into one single incident, saying that this is an incident which has happened because of a password compromise of a privileged user. There can be multiple incidents that can happen, and Qradar can bring the entire thing into a user perspective. And at the initial detection time itself, let's say when there is an abnormal login activity that has happened at an abnormal time, the alarm gets triggered off, or there is an insecurity incident that is being created, and the subsequent events are tagged to the same event, so that the analyst will see this as one single incident, and they can stop this incident or by taking remediation actions quickly. And the second app that increases the capabilities of Qradar is the use case manager. So the one major issue that every SOC operations team look at is the indefinite capabilities to create rules, and the indefinite capabilities that can be breached to create an incident. There can be n number of ways with which which a system can be compromised, and there can be a number of ways we could detect it also, right? So use case manager is one of such tool which can really say that these are the kind of logs that you are getting, and which can be used to detect this particular kind of incident that is happening. Let's say if there is I'm just talking about a classic example or a simple example to be clear. Let's say that there is a lot of firewall denies happening. We can say that you can use these rules to summarize from what sources the logs, the incidents are happening, or from what are the destination domains they are connecting to, and from there they can connect it to the threat intel and see this is a particular type of attack that is happening. So this is a small use case that we are discussing, but with more data coming in, use case manager can really help us in terms of building new use cases. It can help creating use cases with the available logs, or it can also help us giving or we can also go back in a reverse way to look at what are the logs that I should collect to trigger this particular or to monitor this particular incident. And the second thing that comes out of this use case manager is the use case manager maps incidents across the MITRE table using all this tactics and techniques framework, right? So we can look at what are all the tactics that are being covered, what are the use cases, and which are the use cases which is actually monitoring a particular tactic or a technique if it is used by a hacker. So it has a complete mapping, so which will help the SOC team to look at what is the priority I should take, what kind of incidents I should actually create use cases for. All this can be a good information to create use cases and thereby increase the SOC efficiency.
Oh, wonderful. Can you list some of the security incidents that can be monitored using Qradar?
As mentioned earlier, the number of rules that is being written, or the number of incidents that can be monitored by a SOC is the actual efficiency of the SOC. The more we create rules, and the more we could monitor more security incidents in terms of tactics and techniques, that's where when the SOC efficiency increases, right? Or that is how the SOC is being measured. And this is an ongoing process, and this is going to be evolving always. There is no end date for that. Like there is no hard limit that this is the number of use cases that you can build. It's going to be growing ever and ever and ever. So, on the common use cases that we see at many sites are logging in at unusual times, suspicious behavior like running up a partial script and collecting all the passwords, changing the system files, communicating to the malicious domains, unusual transfer of files, large volume of files, let's say and then unusual access to applications or databases, and tampering of logs. These are some standard use cases that are being monitored. and customers are trying to bring in a lot of application logs so that they can really look at what is happening specific to their application, not limiting them to their infrastructure only, right? So when it comes to the business applications, just for an example, if there is access to their business application. Let's take BFSI as an example from a banking point of view. If somebody is accessing a business application so at an unusual time, and if he is trying to do an bigger volume transaction, then that has to be alerted actually. Like a classic example, like your credit card gets swiped at some other geo and you get a call, right? So that is a similar use case, but people are trying to build a lot of business application use cases with the SOC than restraining themselves to the IT infrastructure.
Awesome. Now, moving on to my next question. IT automation is said to be the need of the day. How do you help customer to achieve it?
So we see there are a lot of security incidents happening day by day. The number of malwares or the incident that happens, it's the large volume of offenses that are being triggered by any SIM. And looking into those offenses and quickly analyzing it and fixing it up is becoming really a big challenge. And cybersecurity space is the space where today we have lot of requirements. We don't find enough people or skilled people to perform all these actions on a quick basis, like retaining them, training the analyst, and then retaining them is all becoming really a complicated task for every organization, right? And investigating a breach at the time of the incident is has to go as per the documentation, right? Somebody has to really look at the way the incident is being handled. There are compliances which says that the incident has to be reported within a specific period of time with the specific amount of data that has to be publicly announced, right? So we have to have a solution which can look at doing the repetitive task, or it can do enriching the data that is required for the triage, and also create a platform where the entire team can collaborate and collect the data and take necessary actions accordingly as per the plan that is being created. IBM Resilient, a security orchestration platform, it can integrate with most of the security devices available in the industry, and it can perform actions on the devices, or it can also look at the threat intel and enhance the data that is being looked into the incident, right? There are out-of-box playbooks. The playbooks are a set of commands or a series of commands that has to be executed, and the data has to be updated. So there are out-of-box playbooks which are available, which can be executed for a specific type of incident with an automation being set, and this reduces the time that an individual analyst takes to perform triage on the particular incident. So, and also it gives an overview of data that is being collected, enriched, so it becomes a part of the incident and is available to the other teams which are really working on these incidents to contain it or to report as per their regulations.
Thank you very much. My last question is, what is the offerings you have around device management?
So when it comes to the device management part, the most important factor of today's requirement is like every organization wanted to make sure that only authorized devices are accessing their corporate network, and only authorized users are accessing their corporate applications. So how do we achieve this? How do we identify the device who is not part of the organization network, since work from home has moved all the users out of office? this is becoming a real challenge, and people are accessing it from various devices, and it could be a mobile, it could be a smart pad, it can be anything. So users are accessing all these data from mobile devices as well as from the laptops. So we leverage on IBM Master 360, which used to manage the devices, enforce security controls on top of it as per the compliance, and it can containerize organization data into the user's personal device, and it can help protecting the data being mishandled, and if required we can the organization can wipe the data out of this devices as per the compliance regulations required, or it can also restrict users from accessing the corporate applications from devices which are not part of the compliance. Master 360 also comes with an additional bundle of IBM Verify, which is part of the IBM's IDAM on a larger scale. So with which user can control access to Office 365 kind of cloud applications, and restrict the access of those applications only from the Mass 360 managed devices, right? And the cloud extender, the enterprise gateway modules of Mass 360 really extends the organization network to the mobile devices over a secure connection, and also limits the data that is available only within the containerized platform. So this way device management becomes efficient. So it has been a good time that we have been talking about cybersecurity for quite a period of time, or quite some time. So there are a lot of technologies that we have discussed about, and there are a lot of suggestions that we would say like customer can adopt to protect themselves from the cyber breaches. The major consideration that organization has to have is also on the end user awareness. They should train the employees, they should assess them for a continuous period of time, look at their security awareness, and train them, as since they are the first frontline users who can protect the organization from the security breaches. And thanks to the organizer WAR India for the opportunity to meet the participants virtually in the Cybersecurity Data Security Summit 2021. Thanks to all viewers and participants. Congratulations to cybersecurity award winners in various categories. Please do reach out to us through our social handles for all your security requirements. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Rajaraman, for sharing your valuable inputs. Thank you very much.